Hey, good afternoon, my fellow MGTOW brothers. Good afternoon, my friends. Good afternoon, my compadres. So, as I promised all of you yesterday, I would be coming to you today with a little bit of a story about how I came to this point, and what my red pill moments were. There have been multiple, and I'm sure I'm not going to cover all of them in this video. Hey, what's going on, Danish monk? But interestingly, I don't normally rely on Google for anything at all, but I just did a quick Google Images search before to find a picture for this video. Hey Bob, what's going on, man? And I just wanted to share this with you guys. This is very much the perfect analogy of blue pill versus red pill. It says, if you guys Google blue to red pill, it says the red pill and its opposite, the blue pill, are popular cultural symbols representing the choice between knowledge, mental freedom, adversity, and the brutal truth of reality, falsehood, security, material freedom, and the blissful ignorance of illusion. Blue pill. What's going on, Ezekiel? Welcome, Ezekiel. Welcome, Misery Man. Thanks for tuning in, guys. So as I just said, guys, I'm going to be talking about my story today and how I got to the point that I'm at right now. What's going on, the Mask Black? Yeah, man, I'm good. Thank you very much. So my, of course, we all learn, we all evolve as time continues. But the real start of my red pill journey was just before November 2016, which was the date that all of the people that I thought were my friends turned and kicked me out of my own house. Now, before you guys go judging me, you got to keep in mind that at this point in time I was a shell of a person. What's going on, Maurice? Thank you for tuning in. You got to remember that by this time, my marriage was well and truly done. I felt like her and I were two friends living in the same house, completely different lives. The attraction was gone. Something that you never want to have to say about your wife, but the attraction was gone, whether I like it or not. And for me, how do you step out of the marriage that you committed to? It had always been something that I held in such great esteem, and I was really excited when I realized that this was the person that I wanted to marry. And I thought, I've waited all this time because I wanted to marry the right person, and just be married once and just stay married, because just want to make sure that, I get it right the first time, I don't want to be one of those guys who gets married and breaks up with his wife. I don't want to be that guy, I want to be the guy that gets married to the person he loves and has a family and, builds a life together and they just build an empire, just had this utopian dream of marriage. And I know there's probably some of you guys in this box, potentially even right now, that either have previously had that view of marriage or, might have had that in the future if they hadn't discovered MGTOW. What's going on, God Botherer? Yeah, Misery Man says he's the same way as well. So this was exactly what happened to me, right? I thought that it was the Mask Black. Man, look, see, all you guys in here, right? Like, you felt what I felt. This is not just some... Like, I know, look, guys, I know we often can sometimes come across as shitting on men that don't see what we see. I know that quite often we can come across as, ignorant of other people's feelings. But we're here because we know what happened to us, right? We know what happened to us. We know what happens to other men. And this is why we're here to warn other men of the human nature that's enabled by the current framework of marriage. So let me tell you, if you're a man watching this and you're thinking about getting married, or you're engaged, just be prepared for this. And it's okay for things to not work out if that's what happens. Because we're all human beings and we all make mistakes. And not everyone and everything's perfect. So don't blame yourself if things don't work out the way that you think that they should have. Okay? Because I blamed myself. I'm not going to dwell on this particular point, but that doesn't make it any less poignant. All right, so basically shit went down in my marriage, and I did something when that was quite hurtful. It was, I guess, it was out of a place of loneliness and out of a place of hurt and out of a place of floating in the middle of the ocean. Like I built this massive mansion on the waterbanks, with the jetty and all of the beautiful stuff, and I had the curated gardens. I mean, this is not literally what I did, but this is a metaphor for where I was at, right? What is it? And so I built all this, and then one day I walked to the end of my jetty because I just felt so alone in this utopian house that I'd built. I felt so alone, even after all the hard work. Welcome, Gabriel. Even after all the hard work, and even after I'd done absolutely everything to give all of me and everything that I had. And then I walked to the end of the metaphorical jetty, and I jumped, and I sat in the metaphorical floaty boat at the end of the jetty. And then I had the people that were my friends walk up to the end of the jetty, and they just pushed my boat with no rope, and just sent me floating with no oars and no way to get back to the jetty. They came over and they kicked me out of my own house. The house that I put my life savings and everything that I'd ever worked for into, had all of my belongings, had all of my white goods, like my fridge, my microwave, my couches, my furniture, my bed, everything that I owned and had accumulated over the last 20 what was it? Yeah, about the last 20 odd years, just basically taken from me in that moment. And I was told that I was basically given a couple of bags, like a backpack and an overnight bag, and said, pack some clothes, get out. And I had lost all the will and fight to fight back. That's how weakened I'd become by the experience of being in a loveless marriage, when I thought that was everything that I'd ever wanted to have, and then it ended up being essentially nothing. Guys, smash that thumbs up. I really want men to hear this story. Men that have been through this and that they feel like they might be alone. Men that will go through this in the future. I want men to know they're not alone. And for all of my videos where I stand, getting really pumped up and fired and talking about all of these double standards and talking about the gynocracy and getting fired up about things. This is the real me. This is the real Scott. This is the man that's being vulnerable and honest about what he went through. It's funny how we as men, when we talk about these things, especially online, we're often shamed by women, right? And we're told, oh, poor baby, did somebody hurt you? Absolutely, somebody did hurt us. And it's through that hurt that we actually realize the truth. It's through that hurt that we broke away from, what it is that we were always told we should be. And it's through that hurt that we're able to become stronger, more resilient people who are aware of what lays in wait for us, who are aware of the red flags that can pop up against us. Let me, allow me to continue. So I left my house, and I had about 4 hours until I had to start work at 4:45 a.m. that morning. And I had to end up going to my buddy's house and slept on his couch. And I stayed there for a month. And he even fought with his family so that I could stay there. I wore out my welcome, but I had nowhere else to go. I don't have family in Sydney, and I do have my sister here. But, my sister lives in a little studio apartment. There's no room for me, even if she wanted to. What did Godbotherer say? Godbotherer says, I've had said to me by women, did somebody hurt you to make you become what you are today? Not all women are like that, which is a lie, because they're catching on to MGTOW now. And Godbotherer, they don't realize that, they're not catching on to MGTOW at all. They don't even realize that all women are like that when they're enabled. I would say well over 90%. And that is too large a risk to take on your livelihood and upon your happiness and upon your health. In the current framework of society and the current legal framework. So anyway, guys, I got kicked out of my house, and from there I thought, well, what am I going to do? Because I actually, within the following week after being kicked out of my house, I actually lost my job because I wasn't, of course, I wasn't sleeping after all this, and so I couldn't get up at 4:45 a.m. every morning. So I wasn't on time for work, and so I got the ask from my job. So now I've got not only all the credit card debt, because I would pay off the majority of it every month, but I had no savings because I'd spent all my money on the bills so that she didn't have to spend any of her savings, because, that made her feel worried, and I didn't want her to feel worried because I care about her. Fucking simp I was. So, I'd spent all of my savings to basically let her keep hers and also get the house for her and do everything for her. Then I also had all of our bills racked up on the credit card, which was in my name. And I had all my belongings in the house. So now I've got almost $6,000 of credit card debt. I've got no job. I've got no home. And all I've got is one unbelievable man. And I'm going to text him 11:35 in this video. In fact, 11:30. Let me just jot this time down, because I want this guy to hear what I say about him, because he is a real man. He's a genuine man. He's a good man. And I know you're going to be listening to this sooner or later, so I appreciate you. I appreciate what you did for me. Because we need to look after our fellow men. Especially when those fellow men are good men at heart. We need to lift them up. It's important when we see our friends in a place of weakness. It's important that we don't turn around and say, and say in our heads, I can't back you, because otherwise my girlfriend's going to get the shits. You know what? If she's going to get the shits, are you looking after somebody who's done right by you because you're looking after someone who's cared for you? Fuck her off. Because she's going to do the same to you one day. And all of her friends are going to turn away from you as well. Because I lost all my friends. And I lost a lot more friends by proxy. And the things that were said about me, yeah, some things were true, but there were a lot of things that weren't. And those things destroyed my reputation amongst my circle of hundreds of mutual friends that I had with some of those people that stepped into my house on that day and kicked me out of my own home. I lost hundreds of friends, and I didn't know who to trust for many, many, many men. Even to this day, well over a year past, almost a year and a half past the date of my separation. I've got my own life now. I'm doing my own thing. I've got my own group of friends. I'm living. Nobody knows where I live except maybe 2 or 3 men that I deeply trust. Deeply, deeply trust. Nobody knows where I live. They know I live in Sydney. It's no mistake. My name's sydneymgtow, right? But, this sharing my address with someone is a covenant of trust. And man, you should not trust those that have less to lose than you do. And I don't mean this from a power play perspective, but truly you need to actually, exactly Misery Man says, after betrayal you lock shit down. Maurice Bendrix, I don't think it's so much, in my view, it's not so much that they weren't real friends. It's just that they were weak. They were not real men. Exactly, Charlie. Never let crazy know where you live. Go visit them. But I live in this house. I live a peaceful life these days. I live a life of, it's a busy life, but it's a life of contentment. It's a life where I know what I'm all about, and I know where I'm going, and I will not let anyone step in my way or stand in my way. Won't let anyone. If anyone puts a wall up, then I knock the wall down, or I walk around it, or I climb over it. That's not a barrier to me. Things that used to be a barrier to me aren't a barrier anymore. So after I lost this job, guys, I thought, well, what am I going to do for income? So I became an Uber driver. And you guys have seen my videos. I got a nice car. It's a Golf R. And I was just running up the Ks, and people were opening my door onto concrete walls. My car was getting abused and treated like shit by by everything, you know. And you're right, God brother. They didn't see that there are three sides to every story: mine, hers, and the truth. And here's the thing as well. Hey, MGTOW Mug, what's going on, man? Welcome, Danish. Welcome. Appreciate you. So yeah, I basically was doing whatever I could do to survive. So I went from the job where I had to be up at 4:45 that I lost, and I was only getting like $300 a week from that. It was a part-time job at the time. When I first met my partner, I was like killing it, you know. I was working at the airport, I was smashing it. I was a multi-site manager for a big company. You know, I was pumping in the sales, I was making good money, I was progressing in my career, and then all of that went downhill. And over the course of my relationship, it went downhill to the point where I was at rock bottom, and then I dropped below that and I had nothing. You know, I had no job. And then I found another job, and it was basically sucking up sludge for a waste management company. And, you know, working on car washes and stuff to fix them. Hey, MGTOW expat, welcome, man. Sorry, I started my stream a couple of minutes after you started yours, and I was like, oh, damn, you know, spewing. But welcome, MGTOW expat, man. Appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in, brother. So, you know, I've gone from this job where I was sucking up sludge, and I did that for a couple. I was meant to start that like a week or two earlier than I did, but I damaged my ankle and I couldn't walk properly. And then even after because I couldn't walk properly, I couldn't drive my car because it's stick shift, right? And I ended up borrowing an automatic car off a friend of mine, and he took my car. Oh, sorry, I thought it was a live stream, MGTOW expat. So yeah, it was an upload. Cool. So I borrowed this other guy, right? I borrowed his car and did a swap with him, and he was kind enough to do that for me. So this is two friends now that have really come to me and helped me out. So I was going to this job, and I finally was able to get this job, and I did it for a couple of weeks, and I was hobbling around on crutches. Like I'm like leaning on crutches while I'm cutting pieces of metal, you know, and I'm like hopping around, hopping down steps. Like it was dangerous in that place I was in, you know. You're supposed to. It was pretty unsafe what I was doing, but you know, I was doing what I had to do, man, to make a living, to put food on the table, to put a roof over my head, right, to provide for myself in this time of need where nobody else other than two men were there for me. And then from that stage, I went home to see my parents for a couple of weeks over Christmas, you know, and the credit card debt kept racking up, and I hit my $6,000 limit. All right, so I'm now $6,000 in debt, and I got bills piling up, bills I can't afford to pay. And I come back from my parents' house. They live in the country, back to Sydney after the year started, and I started back on the first day back, as in the first week of 2017. And then a couple of days later, I was given the whole "don't call us, we'll call you" line. I mean, of course, they thought they were being discreet, but I knew exactly what was going on. You know, I knew what rejection was, and I just was like, well, that's it. I got to find another source of income. So this is when I started Uber driving. I was doing that for a little while, and sometimes I was doing like 18, 20-hour days, you know, to bring in the money. But of course, you've got tolls, you've got maintenance on your car, you've got new tires. You know, when you get a puncture, you got to pay for that. Wheel alignments. You've got all of these things, and Uber doesn't pay very much, man. And when you got a nice car, you know, it depreciates it like hell. You know, put big K's on it, you're almost losing more than you're making. But you've got to make ends meet in that moment. Welcome, Truth Bomber. Thank you for tuning in. So I then go from there, and a friend of mine knew that I was going through a hard time. This was another guy he hadn't necessarily helped me directly per se, but there was a little something, like he knew about my situation, right? And he basically called me and said, look, I've got a buddy who's got a hire car company and he needs a bit of help. So that person got me on as a hire car driver. We're doing it was a combination of Uber under his profile, and also a combination of private charter jobs. Now, this was a Mercedes diesel van that I was driving. And it sounds sounds glamorous, but it was just basic. It's fine, whatever, it's comfy. And I had to drive that around for him. So I would drive that around for him. I'd do Uber jobs, and I was getting paid a very low rate of pay. And on top of that, at one stage, it dragged out to about 6 weeks that I hadn't been paid for. Got to the point where I couldn't eat. I was at my house and I had 2-minute noodles and 2-minute noodles only in my cupboard. Welcome, Brizzy boy. And I actually couldn't even get to work to go and earn something that I might get paid in 6 weeks' time, because there's no petrol in the van. I can't even, I'm going to break down on the side of the road, right? And I haven't been paid, I haven't been given any money. So the owner of the guy, yeah, I know Charlie Brown, but at the time it was the only job I had, and I was at that point where I wasn't resilient enough to step outside of my comfort zone, because I'd already gone through so much discomfort in the last 4 to 6 weeks. In the last couple of months, I apologize, in the last couple of months. So this was probably about February, March, almost April by this point, after my separation was in November. So it's, it's closing in on 6 months by this point. And the man who owned the van ended up having to come and fill up the van and send me out, and then put some money into my pay packet. And then he started to catch up on pay, and finally I ended up getting a call from someone who knew that I was working as an Uber driver, from the company I used to work for at the airport. And he was actually my employee at the time, but he was my protege. Like, this guy was such a nice guy. He was a Nepalese dude, such a nice dude. Really, really, really kind demeanor, really, really kind person. And on top of that, I taught him everything I knew about sales. So he was a weapon. He was unstoppable. He was the only person in the airport to beat me in sales. The only person. I'll continue. And he called me and he said, hey, what's going on, Jody Hansen? Thank you, Danish Monk. Yeah, smash that like button, guys. Appreciate it. So, give me a moment. It's a long story. So I've gotten to this point, right, where I'm working and I'm getting a little bit of money in now, and I'm starting to chip down a couple of those bills, and I'm starting to study, Android development, right? Because I want to start learning how to code. I want to start giving myself a license to print money in that respect, so that I could, build applications. And I'm starting to think and diversify to work out exactly what it is that I can do to generate multiple streams of money. Now my brain's starting to tick over. Now I'm starting to churn, right? Everything's firing again. I've got over the whole flat line of what I've gone through, and I'm like, zzz, like everything's starting to happen, right? Like the thoughts are like flying. And this is when I start to right, I gotta pack my shit up and I gotta rise up, Like, I know I'm on the floor right now. I'm a little bit above the floor. Like, I'm up on my knees now. I'm not laying flat. It's time for me to climb up. Time for me to start standing up, back on my own 2 feet again. It's exactly what I did. So I got the offer to, exactly, Morris Benders. It is a blood, sweat, and tears story. Thank you for that kudos. I appreciate it. And I decided, and I got this offer from the guy that used to work for me, the guy that I put my faith in, right? I put my faith in this man, and I saw the good in him. And I gave him the kudos to, step up the ladder. So he's now the national sales manager. Michael, I will actually have a look at that. Thank you so much for letting me know about that little platform. Because I want to finish doing that this year. So I keep getting distracted. I'm so tired. Okay, MGTOW Monk, I might even hit you up, man. Might even hit you up. Yeah, so, where was that, guys? I was at the point where, I'm living in this place and everything's starting to fire. Now, here's another thing, right? The place that I was living at the time, I was, okay, cool. Truth Bomber, is that Sydney time? I will definitely check out that stream. So I'm now living in this place, right? And here's the interesting thing. The place I was living in, the place that I was in, there was actually a single mother household, right? So it was the mother and the daughter. And I started to see the dynamics between this single mother and the daughter, and this constant victimhood. This constant victimhood amongst women. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Why is she behaving like this? Why is she constantly shitting on the ex-husband? Like, yeah, I know there's probably some shitty things he's done, but I'm pretty damn sure there's some shitty things that you've done and said with the way you're behaving. What's going on here? And I see the daughter constantly like upset at the way that she gets treated by the mother. Right? And the mother's just living in this place of victimhood. Exactly. It's Jodie Henson says victimhood's the currency women run on. Exactly. Especially when they've run out of the social currency that they call looks. Right? That I also did a video on, social currency. Go check it out. And then I can't even remember what I was looking at, but I was looking for something on YouTube, and I somehow stumbled across something. And this is a shout out to MGTOW 101. It was a bit of a clickbaity title. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something that grabbed my attention. And I clicked on it. And I listened. Don't worry, Metal Dude. You know you're not too late, man. Basically, Metal Dude, I've just been speaking about, you can go back and check this out later on, but it's been talking about, from when my marriage broke down, and my failed marriage broke down, and up until this moment now. And this is when I'm starting to rediscover myself, right? I'm starting to actually realize what's going on, starting to be aware of what's happening around here. Exactly. Charlie Brown says proper concept of no. Guys, I can't wait to launch this ebook by Stand Up Men to you guys. It talks about so much that you guys talk about in the comments, and that I talk about, and that other content creators talk about. It just really gives you the broadest scope of everything that goes on and how it all ties together. But I know I said about a week ago that's coming in a couple of days, but I've just been so busy, and I've just had a relaxing weekend for the first weekend in a couple of months now, because I've just been hustling so hard. So I'm in this house with this single mother and this daughter, and I've just discovered MGTOW, right? And I started watching this video. I was like, whoa, this is like, I can correlate this back. And so I watched another couple of videos, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. This is crazy. Danish Monk, thank you so much. I truly, truly appreciate that. Wow, I'm so humbled. Thank you so much. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So, yeah, that's basically where I'm at now. I've seen, this MGTOW 101 video, and I've started to watch them over and over again. And I start binging on this shit, right? I'm like, whoa! I'm like, this is real. Like, this is what happens. Like, I've experienced this. Like, guys, I've dated a lot of girls, right? If you want to call it dating, whatever you want to call it, right? I've interacted in a relationship or sexual context with a lot of women, okay? And I finally realized what is going on. I was like, wow. This is what happened in every single dynamic that I ever had with a woman, where it was just like a one-on-one dynamic, This is what's been going on. This explains everything. And, yeah, exactly. Pasanjica says, I binged so hardcore MGTOW videos. Exactly. Mate, I binged for months. on these MGTOW videos. I was showing all my friends, like, dude, this is so funny. Like, this is what happens. This is shit we deal with. Right? Exactly, MGTOW Monk. You know exactly where I'm coming from. And Tom Likas is the man as well, as Lee Forrester says. He is a boss. So, moment when you find MGTOW, it's a huge stone sliding off your chest. You no longer feel alone and crazy. You see the toxicity of the Matrix. It's amazing to find this community. Exactly. And guys, if you haven't watched The Matrix in a while since you found MGTOW, I strongly suggest you go do it. I strongly suggest, because I watched that movie multiple times, and I did not get it. It didn't sink into my head. I couldn't grasp it, right? Like, it just felt so cryptic to me, and I couldn't get it. And then when I watched The Matrix, I was like, wow. Like, when I watched it after I got red pilled and I'd gone MGTOW, I was like, wow, this is crazy. This is unbelievable. MGTOW Monk says, before MGTOW you think you are the problem and broken. After MGTOW is the world that's crazy. Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. So, yeah, 100% MGTOW expert, Leykis 101. If you don't know how to spell Leykis, Leykis, go and binge on Leykis. He is unbelievable. He's so good. I'm glad you discovered it early, the Mask Black. I do have an email, Sanjanis. It's sydneymgtow@gmail.com. And thank you, Morris Bendrix. I appreciate that. I've already had men call me and tell me how much of a difference listening to me has made. And it really is incredibly humbling to get those messages. But I'm going to continue. I'm going to keep going. So I'm like, these videos are like flying at me, and I'm like, holy shit, what's going on? This is nuts. Like, wow. I'm just starting to realize all this. And now, incidentally, back in 2016, probably about midway through, I discovered it before that, but I finalized doing my NLP course. And I was able to actually, and I was still harboring hurt from when I'd been kicked out of my own house by my friends, right? And again, I was a shell of a man at that stage. I didn't really know, I didn't have the strength to stand up and talk and step back to them, right? And I thought to myself, actually, guys, I'm going to take you with me to the kitchen. I'm going to go for a walk and get a glass of water because my throat's starting to get a bit dry. And it was just really interesting to actually go through this transformation of self. And because I'd studied NLP, for those of you guys who don't know what NLP is, it's called neuro-linguistic programming. And what neuro-linguistic programming is, essentially, the fundamentals of it are, the fundamental concept behind it is that you understand how your brain interprets information and how the way you do things and say things and deliver information by way of your physical actions, and also by way of your words and your intent and the context of what you say, and also just basically how all of the information that you put out and that you receive connects and creates associations and whatnot. Black Neo says, can you do me a favor and look outside and see if you see the moon? No, not yet, man. It's not dark enough to see the moon yet, I don't think. Jody says, it's unfathomable to think how much damage toxic third wave feminism has done, not only to the family unit, but society at large. Exactly. There we go. Let me put this back down. Let's continue to talk. Real men are the last bastion of hope for humanity. You're right, Jody, and the only way that we can actually... that's how they... Don't Sydney MGTOW, that's how they dox suit yourself by shot at his backyard. Yeah, look, I always, if you guys have ever noticed when I go outside, I always sort of like look up, so you can only see the sky, you know what I mean? So that's not really a concern for me. Not at all. Hey, welcome back, MGTOW expat. Yeah, the internet can be a bit shitty sometimes. So where am I at now? So I'm basically at a point now where I have... I'm going to sit this here in the bottom of the frame here. So basically where I'm at now is I've reached a stage where with my NLP, now that I've sort of started to step back from the hurt that I'd experienced from being kicked out of my house, I use my NLP tools that I'd learned. Thanks, MGTOW expat. If you want to go check out this mug and some other MGTOW merchandise, you can go to mgtowmerch.com, www.mgtowmerch.com. And also one of my Patreon pledge levels comes with one of these mugs for you guys. So that's something you want to check out as well. For Charlie Brown, unfortunately, I didn't have kids with the ex. Would have been a lot more hurtful if I had. So I'm very, very appreciative of that. And I've basically used the tools that I had at my disposal by way of my NLP learnings to one by one go through all of the people that had turned on me and say, okay, well, why would they, within the framework of what I know about neurology and associations and memories and emotions, why would they have done that? So, yeah, I'll mention that in a second, MGTOW expert. So yeah, I was able to individually go through and understand why each person had turned their back on me, whether that was because they're a mangina and they, because they were a mangina and they were white knighting for the girlfriend, or regardless of what was happening, it just helped me to understand where each of the individual perspectives were from, regardless of how warped it is. I will actually chuck that in the link below, Charlie Brown, after this, for you. And I was able to forgive all of those guys for turning on me, because we, at the end of and this is something that I say, right? This is something I say. Expectations are the breeding ground of resentment, and that truly is a very, very accurate saying that I've coined. And the reason why I say this is because if you expect something from somebody and then it doesn't get granted, like I expected loyalty from my friends, and I didn't get it, and that made me resent them. But it was only when I actually removed my expectations of them and I looked at the reasons why they did what they did, whether I agree with what they did or not, that I was able to actually let go of the hurt that I felt as a result of them not meeting my expectations. And there's no doubt in my mind that some of those guys are going to get fucked over later in life, and when it does, I will still go to them and I'll turn the other cheek, and I will say, I just want you to understand what it is that I went through, and now that you've been through that, I'll be here for you because that's who I am. Yeah, I did, exactly, Danish monk. I did get spat out from my old friends. They kicked me out of my own house, with all of my life savings in the equity of it and all of my assets inside. So this is where I'm at now, right? So I've been kicked out of the house. I've been injured. I've gone through the credit card debt. I've found a new place to live. Starting to see this single mother behavior. Let's just call it that, MGTOW expat, for shits and giggles, right? So I've worked out what's going on with this whole single mother dynamic with the house that I'm living in, and then I get this job, and I get fucked over by a guy who doesn't pay me for 6 weeks at a time, and I'm now literally living on the breadline, right? I'm on the breadline, and this is not even a fresh breadline. This shit's a stale breadline, right? This is like the dumpster bread from out the back of the Safeway or the Woolworths or the Walmarts or whatever you want to call it. And I now get this job working at a retail store, right? And they say to me, well, we need you 4 days a week. And I was like, okay, cool. 4 days a week to this, 3 days a week to study my app development so I can work towards creating an income for myself. And then I get my first roster. It's like two days of 4 hours each day, like 8 hours for the whole week. How the fuck am I meant to survive on that? I'm a man living out of home. I don't have a trust fund. Don't have money pouring out of my ass, right? Like I gotta feed myself. I gotta pay the rent. I gotta pay the bills. I gotta catch up on my credit card debt, right? Because that interest isn't going away. It's just like it's rolling every month. It's ticking over. The banks, they got the shekels. They're taking more shekels from me. What do we got here? Exactly. So I got this job and I started working, and I said to them, right? Hey, what's up, Nomad? And I said to them, look, guys, if you don't give me more shifts, I'm out. Like, I know I said I work for you guys, but you said you need me 4 days a week. They're like, oh, but we need you to be available 4 days a week. I was like, no. I either get 4 days a week, full 8 hours, or see you later. I can't live off that. So they gave me more hours, and to the point where I was working 6.5 hours a week. I'm working 6.5 hours a week. Sorry, no, 6.5 days a week. I apologize. And I was making good money, but I had no time for myself. I didn't have time to do my coding course. So now I'm at this point where I'm starting to catch up on the bills. I'm starting to get things paid, right? I'm starting to be able to pay for the registration of my vehicles. I'm slowly chipping away maybe like $100 a week on my credit card bill. I mean, this is a $6,000 credit card bill, but I'm chipping it away at $100 a week because eventually I'll get there, right? Thanks, MGTOW expat. Appreciate it, bro. Check it out at MGTOWmerch.com. You can buy these and many other things. So now I'm working, and I worked there for a good couple of months. And guys, I actually want to share this with you. In my last month of working there, because see, rather than just being exactly Misery Man, thank you, brother, and Misery Man, in line with exactly that, I'm going to show you something. Now, some of you guys may see the cardboard box in the background sometimes when I'm sitting at the computer, but I want to share this with you. So in my last month that I was working there, everyone else is just taking the sales for, because I was selling home electronics like TVs and stereos and stuff. And I basically was, I don't settle for second best, right? So I'm not just an order taker. I don't just sit there and go, oh, it's just easier to sell the cheaper TVs. No, fuck that. I'd rather be known as the guy that sells a $4,500 TV once a week than the guy that sells three $1,500 TVs every week. Yeah, Pasanjanus there. It's just a rented house, but it's nice. So guys, this is the TV I won in my last month. Right? This is the TV. Wow, that's a really shit reflection. Right, this is the TV. 65 inches. Like my dick. So, and here's the way I won this. Because that TV there, man, that TV there is a $7,000 TV. I won it. Let me tell you how I won it. Because I expect excellence from myself. And I sell the expensive TVs, not the cheap ones. Right? Because sales is in my blood. And there was a competition. June 2017, right? In my last month of working there. And for the end of the financial year, they wanted to get rid of this particular model of TV. Right? They wanted to get rid of that particular model of TV. What's going on, Avon? And on the 14th of June, I'll never forget that day, 14th of June 2017, the guy that looked after all the stores, he said, okay guys, we've got a new competition. Whoever sells 3 of these TVs or more is in the running to win one. Exactly, Misery Man, the ginger power is kicking in. You know it. Alright, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to win this. So man, and look, the TV got reduced down to about, $4,500, right? From 7. Do you know how many of those I sold? In the last 2 weeks, I sold 6. And I won that shit fair and square. Right? I stepped up and I won what was mine. So this is what I'm saying, right? Ezekiel. This is what I'm saying, right? Like you gotta step up, because you might be down here, man. But there's an up. There's an up. There's an up. There's an up. Right? You just keep going up. Keep going up. Like don't ever let yourself limit yourself. Right? Because if you limit yourself, then you're only going to be what you limit yourself to. So I won that TV. And at the end of that month, I resigned. And I took on my new job. A job that I'd wanted for 4 years. A job that I'd been talking about before I even met my ex. And I got that job. And now I work as a rep. Exactly. Truth Bomb Menace. Sorry, I apologize, man. Absolutely right. Don't man up, step up. Because man up is something that women say to men to shame them for not being who they want them to be. As MGTOW expat, I see you, MGTOW expat. I took back my freedom. I took back my manhood. I owned my shit. And I'm still watching MGTOW videos, right? I'm still taking my daily red pills every single day. Right? I'm busting my ass. I'm not buying new clothes. I'm not going on holidays. I'm grinding. I'm grinding, I'm working my fucking ass off to get where I get to. So now I get this new job as a rep. And I walk in. And I'm out of the 5 states. I'm in New South Wales, obviously, because Sydney. All right, so I'm in number 3 spot out of the 5 states. So guess what I did? I said to myself, I'm gonna come in at number 2. I'm gonna beat number 2. Right? And I beat her. And I beat her month after month. About 3 months in, I started to overtake. Beating. And I'm beating her by bigger and bigger margin every month. So now, I'm going after number 1. And in November, I did the biggest month that New South Wales has ever done in the history of the company. And the company started 14 years ago. So now I'm in the running for first place. Right? So now I'm nipping at the heels. And as of right now, I'm actually ahead of the person in second place for January 2018. I said in my annual presentation at the end of 2017, I said that my goal was to beat the guy number 1 spot. And I'm beating him already. And he might claw back a little bit of that. He might claw back a little and he might just overtake me for January. But I've got more stores opening up this year. Right? I got more people coming on board. I've got more people buying from me. Right? I've got more people that like me now. I got more people that are buying more stuff from me. Right? And I'm just chipping away. Right? And nobody can stop me. Nobody can stop me. Because my strength comes from within. My strength comes from knowing my value. My strength comes from the ginger, as Misery Man would say. My strength comes from these 5 letters. Men going their own way. Or in my case, man going my own way. And this is what it's all about, men. It's about you going your own way. It's about, exactly, Misery Man said it, it's the power of willpower. But something that's very important, right? Strength and endurance is very important, Pasanjana says. Absolute. Pasanjicus, sorry. Always get your name mixed up, dude, I'm sorry. But strength and persistence, resilience, endurance, willpower, they're all very important things. But man, if you're going to have those things and you're going to have them in droves, one thing you need to have is your why. Why do you want to succeed? Right? And this isn't going to be a Tony Robbins video, but I'm just asking you a question. I want every single one of you watching this live stream right now. We got 50 in the box. Hit that thumbs up, guys. Whoever's in the box that hasn't done it yet. Hit the thumbs up. But you really, 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 truly need to understand your why. What is the reason you get out of bed in the morning? What's the reason you go to work? What's the reason you earn money? What's the reason that you spend time with your family? Know your why, man. You must know your why. If you don't know your why, you will never be able to channel your energy the way that you need to. You'll never be able to channel your mind and your motivation in the way that you need to. You just can't do it if you don't have your why. I have my why. And let me tell you what my why is, man. My why is you. Right? Godbrother, I'd love to buy a house, I'm working on investments, things that can fuel my future, things that can give me an ongoing stream of revenue. But why am I working on these things? Because I want to make sure that I have the money to fund the campaign, to stand up to Tyrone in this David and Goliath battle. That's why I want to do this. Because we need to take the power back, men. That's what we need to do. Because if we don't take the power back, if we don't take it back from Tyrone, if we don't take it back from people that have been indoctrinated to believe that you are bad, then we are going to continue to get walked on. And I won't stand for that. I won't sit down in the face of adversity when I have my wife fueling me on. When I have my wife fueling the flames of my passion to do what I do for you men. And if you do want to help financially fund towards the fighting fund, please feel free to donate by crypto below. Please feel free to, become a patron, as a couple of my loyal subscribers are, and I thank you for that. Please feel free to go to PayPal and make a donation. Please feel free to do these things. I don't spend the money on myself. I put all this money and some of you want me to spend the money on myself. But what I want you guys who want me to spend the money on myself, what I want you to understand is that myself is doing what I do for you men. There is nothing that I could ever spend the money that you donate on that could mean more to me than fighting this fight for you men. Thank you, Pasanjikos. I appreciate it. Glad I didn't break the table right now. It's better. Exactly, bottoms up. So guys, and this is where I'm at right now. This is where I'm at right now. Right? And I'm even selling some of my stuff. Some of my stuff off, stuff that I don't need. Like, I've got a NAS drive here. I don't need it. I'm gonna sell it off. What the fuck do I need it for? How is that gonna help you guys? How is that gonna help you guys and help me to achieve my goal of helping you men? How's that gonna do that? It's not. Does this have a voice? Can this speak up on behalf of you men like I can? No. And that's what this is about, men. That's my red pill journey. That's where I've come to now. I've realized, and I'm going to reflect back on that meaning that I found when I searched blue to red pill on Google. Yeah, that's true, Charlie Brown. But I've got some high quality hard drives that I can unplug from the NAS, so it's not even connected up to the network. The red pill and its opposite, blue pill, are popular cultural symbols representing the choice between knowledge, mental freedom, adversity, and the brutal truth of reality. The red pill. That's what the red pill is. It's a brutal reality. Falsehood, security, material freedom, and the blissful ignorance of illusion, which is the blue pill. And when you are blue pilled, it is a blissful, it's blissful ignorance. Ignorance is bliss. But when you know the truth, when you do know the truth, that's when your power comes back. Thank you, men, for hitting a thumbs up. Whoever hasn't smashed the thumbs up in the live stream yet, please smash that thumbs up. Let's get this trending. This is a message that I think will resonate with a lot of men. Jody Hansen says, minimalism is looking so much more appealing these days. All those material possessions just weigh you down. Exactly. And guys, I encourage you to actually do a DuckDuckGo. So it's www.duckduckgo.com. Try and avoid Google where you can. We don't want to encourage them. Just Google minimalism and how to become a minimalist. It's incredible what shedding a lot of the material stuff can actually do for you. Don't spend money on things that you don't have an asset. Pasanjikos, I'm going to start getting people to call in moving forward. Thank you, Misery Man. Appreciate that. And thank you so much. I got 46 in the live stream. And thank you all so much for tuning in to hear my message and to hear my story about how I became red pilled and how I became MGTOW and what's actually brought me forward to this stage in my life where I'm creating this content for you guys, that I'm sharing this message, that I'm being vulnerable and I'm telling you men what I'm all about and what it can do for you, because that's really where it's at. Exactly. Real recognizes real, and you guys are real. There's 42 of you in the live stream right now watching this message. and I appreciate your realness. I appreciate that you're sitting here listening to this message, and I appreciate that, you know, you guys see value in what I say, and thank you for being here. You know, thank you for standing here united with all your other fellow brothers, fellow MGTOW, fellow men. And I'm going to start tuning out now, guys, but I mean, I hope that you all got some value from hearing my message, and I just want you to know that, and if there's any message that I can give you from this, it's so important to know this. There's one message. If there's nothing else that you get from this video, this is critical. Okay? You need to know that your strength comes from within. You need to know that the only person that you should rely on is yourself. Rely on yourself, because you can't rely on other people. Right? And those you can rely on will show themselves over time. And those are the people that you can trust when you've seen the consistency. And don't trust them just because they're your friend. Trust them because they put more faith in you than they put in themselves. Because that's where it's at. And that's how you know you can trust somebody. Anyway, men, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sorry I was late today doing my daily stream, but I appreciate all of you. I'm here for all of you. If you give me 1 second. Will do. Thank you, MGTOW Monk. So yeah, guys, tuning out now, but just look after yourselves. Trust in those who trust in you, and be the best version of yourself you can be. Have faith that you have the fire within you to do what you need to do. And if you do want to donate to the Fighting Fund, check out the links below. I'm also going to throw a link to my online store there, so you guys can all check it out and see the nice stuff. And MGTOW Expat, thanks for making a cameo, man. Thanks for jumping into the stream. And I'm glad you like the hoodie that I sent Chris Can too. It is truly an awesome hoodie. For any of you guys in the US who want to check out my MGTOW hoodie, you should go and have a look at MGTOWmerch.com, as will be in the description after this video finishes. Anyway, man, big love to all of you. Thanks for joining in Irish MGTOW. Caught me right at the end, but go have a watch of this video, man, and feel free to comment. Yes, I will, Michael. I've already taken a screenshot of that. Thank you for that, Brizzy boy. Appreciate it, guys. Sunday afternoon, Sydney MGTOW, tuning out. Peace.